Our first guest is the only living Marine since Vietnam to receive the Medal of Honor, our nation's highest award for valor. Please welcome Sergeant Dakota Meyer, ladies and gentlemen. Have a seat, Sergeant. That is a very good-looking uniform.
Thank you.
Do you get to wear that much in the Marine Corps?
You know, when I was in, I didn't get to wear it a lot, but I seem to be wearing it more often here lately.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about yourself. I know you're from Kentucky, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What city in Kentucky? What town there?
Columbia, Kentucky.
Where is that located?
South Central. It's about an hour and a half south of Louisville.
Mm-hmm. And life down there, good for you? Everything all right?
Yeah, it is. We live on a big farm. You know, not a big farm, about 300 acres.
Mm-hmm. What are you growing in Kentucky?
What are we growing? Or okay. Well, we.
Now, wait a minute here. What's going on down there?
Well, you know. Well, we raise beef cattle.
Oh, beef cattle.
Yeah.
Good for you. So you're a kid. You're in high school, just about ready to graduate from high school. Is that correct? And you're thinking about what you might want to do with your life, and you have some options. You want to. I know you played some football in high school.
I did.
What position? I
was a running back and pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm. A pretty good athlete.
I don't know. It just depends on what day it was.
And so you're thinking maybe I'll go to college and play some ball. You don't know. And there's a recruiter in your high school. Is that correct?
Yeah. He was sitting out. It was in the lunchroom, and he was sitting in the same uniform I'm in right now. Mm-hmm. And you know, I was a smart aleck, so I went up to him, just talking to him and just kind of feeling him out. And he said, "So what are you going to do when you get out of high school?" I said, "Well, I'm going to go to college and play football." And his response to me was, "Well, that's what I would do too, because there's no way you could be a Marine." And and I turned around and walked off. And I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, "No, I'm going to do it." So I went back about 5 minutes later, and I said, "Let's go sign." I said, "If you pack your stuff up right now, I'll sign the papers."
Wow. And, did you later think that maybe you had fallen for a ploy, that this guy, that maybe you had been duped into this a little bit?
Is that what it was?
Well, I don't know.
No, and then the good part was, so I was 17, and we drove up there about an hour to get the paperwork, filled it out, and I had to have my father sign. So, you know, I'm sitting there at the kitchen table, and my dad gets off work with the Marine recruiter right next to me, and he just starts shaking his head. He looks at me and says, "Well, what are you doing now?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm going to join the Marine Corps." He said, "Well, did you really think this out?" I said, "I thought the whole way there and the whole way back here. I'm ready to do it."
Was it your grandfather also a Marine?
Yes, sir. And
that must have been some influence for you to make this decision?
Well, it wasn't. You know, he didn't ever really talk about it a lot. So I'd hear some here and there, but not a lot.
All right, so now you're committed to the Marine Corps, and you go off to basic training. Where did you do basic training?
At Parris Island.
Parris Island.
Yeah, we were on the right coast.
The legendary, notorious Parris Island. And was boot camp as hard and difficult as you want it to be?
Well, it definitely wasn't a vacation.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was hard. It was a wake-up call. And you know, at the time, you thought it was the hardest thing you could ever do. Mm-hmm. But now looking back, after everything in the Marine Corps, it was definitely the easiest thing in the Marine Corps.
Oh my goodness, that's really some comparison to be able to make, isn't it? Because look at me, I didn't go through boot camp at Parris Island, but I know a little bit about it. And if that was the easiest part of your deployment with the Marines, that really is incredible. Yeah. When they called you about the, by the way, did you ever run into the recruiter who said, "You'd never make it as a Marine"?
No, I haven't, but I'm still looking for him. Yeah.
So you get the call. Who calls you about the Medal of Honor?
Well, you know, it's been going on for 2 years, back and forth. Just, you know, it'll peak up, people will talk about it, and then it goes away. And, you know, then finally we were like, oh, it's getting more serious because they assigned someone to start talking to me about it, the planning, and then I get a call on a Friday, and I'm on the lake. I was wakeboarding, and they said the president will call you at 11:50 on Monday. And they're like, listen, now you need to be on a landline, be there an hour prior. You know how the Marine Corps is. And I said, well, there's no way that's going to happen because I got to work. So I said, we're going to have to get him to call my cell phone, and I'll try to arrange my lunch break around that.
I'll see. I'll see if I can't squeeze that Medal of Honor phone call in around lunch.
Yeah.
And who did you talk to once that happened?
Well, so I'm sitting at this gas station waiting. You know, I'm in this gas station. I'm all dirty. I've been greasing the Bobcat, and
Wait a minute, is that it? Stop it.
Sorry about that.
Something they do in Kentucky, right?
You've never done it?
No, I don't know. I'm not saying I have. I'm not saying I haven't. All right, so you've taken care of that. And now you're on the phone with somebody. Who are you on the phone with?
Some woman called, and she's like, you know, let me say, they were late.
They were late.
Yeah. So some woman called, and then we were talking about it, and you know, they're like, the president's here, he wants to talk to you. So then I'm talking to him, and he's just, you know, congratulating me, telling me he signed off on it, read about it, and said he'd be looking forward to meeting me. And then that was it.
How did that feel? You're talking to the President of the United States.
You know, it was impressive, but you know, he's a great guy, but I have work to get done.
Sergeant Meyer, you've just greased your Bobcat. Now what are you going to do? You asked the president, or asked someone about an appointment with the president, meeting with him at the White House. What did you want to do, and how did that go?
Well, I was speaking to the president's speechwriter for his remarks, and he says, "Is there anything else you want to say?" I was like, "Well, actually, would you ask the president if he wants to have a beer?" And you know, I figured they were going to be like, you know, he can't do it. He's busy. This, that. And then 2 days later, 2 or 3 days later, I get a call, and they're like, "Be there at 5:30." And so I went and had a beer with the president.
There you go. How was that? That must have been, I mean, historically, I think that's unprecedented. What a lovely moment for both of you, frankly. Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. It was great. You know, I got to sit down and talk to him and ask him his opinions on, you know, like how to be successful and stuff like that.
What advice did he have for you?
You know, make sure to go get an education. You know, he talked about don't make any rash decisions.
Keep greasing that Bobcat. So you're now in the Marine Corps, and you first you go to Iraq. Is that correct?
Iraq.
How long were you in Iraq?
Month and a half, 2 months. I got bit by a spider.
A spider, and what kind is? I mean, are they poisonous? Obviously, poisonous
No,
spiders.
we're still looking for it.
Oh, really? And what was your reaction to the spider?
No, well, I got bit right here on my hand. I had lost feeling in my last 3 fingers for a while. They did 2 surgeries in Fallujah, and then they shipped me out to, I was in Germany for a couple weeks trying to figure out what was wrong, and then it took me a while to rehab from it.
Wow. So they did the surgery because they knew it was a spider bite, or they weren't sure what it was?
They weren't sure what it was, because my hand swelled up all the way up to here, and
so you finished up, you healed up, you're fine. You finished up your first visit to Iraq, and then you now have the possibility of being deployed elsewhere. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were getting ready to head back to Iraq again. I was a sniper team leader, and then they come in.
Sniper team leader. Yes. Tell me what are your responsibilities as a sniper team leader?
I was in charge of 5 other guys, and you know, I'm in charge of doing mission planning for my team, executing the missions. So.
And in terms of sniper, that's exactly what we think of. That's what you guys would do.
That's what I was in the Marine Corps. I was a Marine sniper.
So you are going back to Iraq. You decide not to go back to Iraq.
Well, we were getting ready to go. We were out in 29 Palms finishing up our training, our workup training, and they came in and said they had slots to go to Afghanistan on an embedded training team. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, well, I want to go. You know, Iraq was slowing down. Not a lot was going on. We really didn't have a mission there when we were going. So I said, I raised my hand, and 15 minutes later, I was ready to go.
And immediately, Afghanistan was different from Iraq?
Oh, way different.
In what respect?
The Taliban's serious. You know, we trained up. It was a different mission. It was a unique mission. So we lived with the Afghan soldiers, 4 Marines and about 80 Afghans on a base, and you operated with them. So that was your mission. And yeah, when we got there, it was way different. I was up in the hills of Kunar province, and the terrain was different. The people were different. It was a lot different.
It's interesting. This is a bit of a coincidence. The mission that we're talking about now, September 8th, 2009. So almost this time 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Yeah. And what was that mission?
Oh, you know, what we were doing, we were going to go in and do a key leader engagement on with this village called Ganjgal. They're real famous for fighting the Russians, and so we were going to go back in there, and they had actually asked us to come in, and they wanted to renounce themselves from the Taliban and become back and start supporting the government. So it was a really big deal for us, and that's what we were supposed to be doing. So basically, we were going to go in there and speak with the leaders and drink some tea with them.
Now, did this turn out to be? There was an ambush subsequent to this. Was that part of the ambush, or was that on the level?
You know, they had set us up. Something got leaked out. Basically, every position that we had set up, they were above it. So you know, we were set up 100%. Right.
So, irrespective of what their intention was, it was known that you guys were coming somehow.
I would be, you know, I'm going out on a limb here. I'd be willing to bet that they were the ones who. It was all a whole plan.
So, to the best of your memory and to the best you want to talk about it, tell us what happens when you realize an ambush is underway.
Well, you know, I was sitting outside the kill zone. I was sitting at the trucks, and the team was in there, and they were getting hit real bad. And we waited. They were calling for air support, 15 minutes. They said 15 minutes, 15 minutes. We weren't getting it. And then the artillery stopped for some reason. So, you know, me and Staff Sergeant Rodriguez Chavez looked at each other and said, you know, we know what we got to do. We got to go try to help them. So we jumped in the truck, drove in, ended up making 5 trips in there, linked up with some other guys. And then about 6 hours later, you know, we ended up finding the bodies of my guys, and you know, the whole team was killed.
So the fight, 6 hours long. That seems unfathomable that people can see their way through something like that.
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, I didn't the whole time I was in there. I just remember the feeling of, you know, I didn't really think I didn't think I was going to die. I went ahead and accepted it that I was going to. It was just a matter of when.
The important statistics here: you saved 13 Marines and Army personnel, and 23 Afghan soldiers in making those trips back and forth. That's a remarkable accomplishment under any circumstance.
Thank you.
And then when it was finished, and as I understand it, you were now on foot. You had gotten out of the Humvee, and you were not armed with that automatic.
Armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're looking around, and you discover friends, the remains of friends that were lost in the fight. 5 guys.
Four of the guys were there. One of the other guys died later on from the wounds sustained in that battle. Sergeant First Class Westbrook.
Yeah. And how are you now? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's you know, it's something that you struggle with every day. Not I wouldn't say struggle. I think that's the wrong word. But you know, every man and woman that signs up and you know, has a uniform on, whether it's us or firemen or police officers, you know, we all accept the risk that we go through, and that's part of our job. That's why we do it. So we just got to accept it.
In a situation like that, does it come to you that, well, by God, I better do this because it doesn't look like somebody else is doing it, or do people function the way they're trained to function in a situation?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, it's really interesting. It's not as you think it would be, but we can leave it at that.
Okay. I'm fascinated by your scholarship initiative, Sergeant. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I wanted to go out. So, you know, the Marines have given so much to me. They've given so much to America. So I wanted to go out and find a way to give back. So I linked up with the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation and started the Dakota Meyer Scholarship Initiative. And you can see that on on dakotameyer.com. And, you know, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to raise money to give back to Marines who are injured in combat, their children, to go to college. And, you know, we know that America, you know, the way to pay the road to success is through education. So I went out and made the $1 million challenge. And what I'm doing is I pledge to raise $1 million by next May. Mm-hmm. And I'm challenging Americans to.
How are you doing on the fundraiser?
Well, I just started a week ago. So we're doing all right, though. You know, in the last week, we're up to $31,000.
Oh, good for you. And, well, and we're learning more and more about a problem that I think we should have known about earlier, which is people, men and women coming out of the service. Life doesn't always, it's not really there waiting for them. After they've been gone serving their country, things aren't that great when they get home sometimes. So what you're doing is admirable, and again, everything you've done in uniform has been admirable. Great pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Sergeant. Sergeant Dakota Meyer, ladies and gentlemen, Medal of Honor winner. We'll be right back with Sofia Vergara. Thank you very much.